Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Purport. Unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a householder. Generally, a fashionable materialist engages a so-called spiritual master without any profit. The pseudo-spiritual master flatters the so-called disciple, and thereby both the master and his ward go to hell without a doubt. Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple because he puts forward questions vital to the interest of all men, particularly for the dying men. The question put forward by Maharaj Parikshit is the basic principle of the complete thesis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now let us see how intelligently the great master replies. This, as Srila Prabhupada notes in the purport, this question is the basis for the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It provides the basis for all the topics of Bhagavatam as we have it now, to be spoken. Shukdev Goswami is described here as Yoginam Paramam Gurum, the topmost guru of all yogis. Therefore, this Parikshit Maharaj is stating this, that he is the suitable person to inquire from about Samsiddhi, the supreme perfection. To say the supreme perfection in this, in saying the supreme perfection, the adjective supreme may seem to be superfluous, because if it's perfection, then it's perfect, and how can there be supreme perfection? Well, that is again suggested by the term Yoginam Paramam Gurum, that when Parikshit Maharaj went to the bank of the Ganga to fast, so many yogis came from all over the universe. And Parikshit Maharaj asked the same thing from all of them. What is the purpose of life? What is the supreme perfection? And someone would say, well, Parikshit Maharaj, the supreme perfection is to perform sacrifices and go to the heavenly planets. Someone else might recommend you worship this demigod and then you can go to the planet of the demigod. Someone else would say you meditate on the impersonal Brahman and become merged into that. So various yogis or sadhus or rishis who were present there had various concepts of siddhi, or perfection. And most likely many of them, if not most of them, were siddhas, or perfected. We have terms karma siddhi, karma siddha, yoga siddhi, yoga siddha. Karma siddhi, one who has attained karma siddhi, perfection in karma, is a karma siddha. And there are many paths given in the Vedic literatures. One who becomes perfect in any of these paths is called a siddha. And a siddha becomes powerful. They can do things which other people can't do. However, for instance, being a Suryopasana siddha, perfect in worshipping the sun god, one can gain powers for healing others, but he cannot help anyone, even himself, to become free from death. So although he's perfect, but he's perfect in a process which itself is not perfect. So to be perfect in something which is not perfect is imperfect. It's like multiplying 10 raised to the power of 10,000, which is a very big figure, times 0. If you multiply 10 raised to the power of 1,000 or 10,000, which is a huge figure. If you wrote it out, it would fill up a few pages. And you multiply that by 0, what's the result? Any mathematicians? It looks very big, but it all comes to nothing. Actually, it is very big. It's not easy to become a siddha in any process. But if it all ends in death, then what is the use? Of course, some of the Vedic processes, they continue even beyond death. But even then, they're not eternal. Even merging into the impersonal Brahman, which is thought to be eternal and the highest perfection, isn't. So the supreme perfection is that which is Satyam Shivam Sundaram, that which is true and eternal, all auspicious and all beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So any supposed perfection which is not fully in accordance with the absolute reality, accord with, which is not eternal. This word sat means both eternal and real, and good also. So that which is not entirely good and proper, that which is not wholly auspicious in all respects. That means not only for one's own self, but for all others also. What might be good for you might cause harm to someone else. Just like there was a war of sorts fought in this country, and certain people thought that by blasting others to pieces, our interest will be served, but the interest of those who were blasted to pieces was not served. So that which is fully auspicious should be auspicious both for oneself and for all others also. And also should be beautiful, charming, pleasing. This is the Vedic language. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. This is the highest truth, must be Satyam Shivam Sundaram. The highest perfection. So Shukdev Goswami, he is a guru who can instruct even siddhas. That even persons who are perfect in some process and have become extraordinarily accomplished by doing so, still have to learn from Shukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj's question is apparently quite simple. What should someone do? What should a person do? Especially one who is about to die. Saravata, in all respects, all around good. The various things a person preparing for death should do. He should distribute his wealth or make a will, apologize for any discrepancies or offenses he may have made, knowingly or unknowingly. Give final instructions to those who require to be instructed. Take blessings from those who are suitable to bless him for his future, his ongoing journey. Presumably Parikshit Maharaj knew this. He wasn't asking about that. This question is based on the understanding that human life is a crossroads. Urdhvam gachanti sattva madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaghanya guna vritti sto adho gachanti tamasaha. Who can give the translation of this verse? Anyone? Bhakti Shastri? You have any Bhakti? Any more Bhakti Shastris? You didn't do that course?
I didn't do that verse.
Oh. Alright. I thought that somehow you missed it. Huh? You came too late or what? You didn't? But you were in Salem? Huh? I didn't get them. Alright. Okay. So this means that those who are situated in Sattva Gun, the mode of goodness, they go up. Those who are in Rajagun, the mode of passion, they remain in the middle level. And those who are in the abominable mode of ignorance, the word is used, Jaghanya, abominable, they go down. Okay, here's a task for you all. This Parikshit Maharaj is asking What should we do? So I'm going to tell you something you can do. You all learn this verse. At least you should learn this verse. There are so many verses. Learn this verse. Urdvanga chanti sattvasta. It's in the 15th chapter. I can't remember the number of the verse. Of Gita, 15th chapter. Gachanti. They go. Urdvam means up. Gachanti. They go. No. Well, it could be, but they go. Sattva means sattva gun. Staha, situated in. Madhye means what? In the middle, yeah. Madhya means tishtanti. No, that's utishta. It means to stay, not to get up. They're not going up, they're staying up. Rajasaha, those who are in. Jaganya means abominable. Guna, he doesn't say tamagun, he says the abominable guna. Jaganya guna. Vritti means propensity, outlook, attitude. Staha, again, who are fixed in that. Adho. Adhaha means downwards. Yeah, adha. Gachanti. What does that mean? There you go. Tamasaha. Those who are overcome by darkness. So please learn this verse, and whoever can come and tell it to me, get some prasadam. Okay. Revati, can you arrange some prasadam? No, you give lots because I want them all to come. I have to give them. So I can give. So human life is the crossroad. You can go up, down, or stay here. Or you can get out of this material world altogether. That means to shoot right through the coverings of the universe. So this question or this request is based on this understanding. And Shukadeva Goswami is the right person to answer this. Actually, Parikshit Maharaj was already he was asking all these sadhus, but he was already more advanced than all of them. Because from his very childhood he was a great devotee of Krishna. But out of humility he asked various persons about what is the supreme perfection. But when Shukadeva Goswami came, he knew this is the right person to give. He's already a great devotee, but he wanted to learn more and hear more. Parikshit. He wanted to accept a transcendental guru. Now, certainly, he was in contact with various priests or persons who perform, brahmanas who perform various functions. But a priest who performs various functions is not the same as who performs various rituals, is not on the same level of one who gives transcendental knowledge. Srila Prabhupada writes very strongly in this purport, unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a household. Srila Prabhupada is here addressing a theme which his own Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, spoke on often. In Vedic culture or Hindu culture, everyone has a guru. But not everyone is very eager to attain this supreme perfection. So to have a guru, if one is not interested in attaining spiritual perfection, it's hypocritical. It becomes more of a social and religious function rather than a genuine spiritual exchange. Rich landholders, they would maintain so many people. They would have an extended household, and they'd have a barber, a washerman, and teachers for all the children, all different kinds of servants. And they'd also have a guru, who they would superficially offer respects to. But he knew that his job was as a professional flatterer,
Ali
sycophant. He's a laskavac. Just,
on je laskavac.
oh, you are so wonderful, you are so pious, we are giving you benedictions. So the guru is a fraud, and the disciple is a fraud, and it's all bogus. So Parikshit Maharaj wasn't that kind of disciple.
Kako da Parikshit Maharaj nije bio takav.
Parikshit. If you say Parikshit, it means the son of Parikshit. Nor was Shukadev Goswami that kind of guru who simply wanted to flatter others to get some money. For Shukadev Goswami, money would be a hindrance. He didn't have any pockets or any bag to put it in. He wasn't carrying anything with him physically. So money would just be a burden. Nor had he any interest in that. He was already richer than anyone in the world, with such wealth that mere gold and jewels, that just seemed insignificant. The most wealthy person is wandering around without even a cloth to cover him. He had such wealth. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said this about his own Gurudev, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that he was accustomed to being respected. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself was accustomed to being respected for his learning and intelligence, for his high moral character, for his aristocracy. But when he came in contact with Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, he understood that Babaji Maharaj didn't care about any of these things. He wasn't in the slightest bit impressed or interested in any of these things. Even the high moral character, which is considered practically religious by religious people. Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, he had no interest in this Siddhanta Saraswati. Who is it? Not someone else coming to bother me. What is this? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that someone who considered all these things which were so highly honored by the world to be insignificant, then what did he have? What kind of siddhi, what kind of perfection, what kind of attainment did he have that made all these very high qualifications that were so much respected seem totally worthless? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur described that even though I had also thought I was very well situated and very well qualified, in coming in contact with my Gurudev, I understood that unless I could get his mercy, there could be no actual benefit for me, no actual auspiciousness for me. So that's quite a different attitude to that of the hypocritical disciples approaching the flattering so-called gurus. There's no surrender. There's no spiritual exchange. It's a material exchange. That the materialistic so-called disciple superficially honors the so-called guru, who is content to be flattered and be maintained. Like Shukracharya, he was siddha in many ways, but he was relying on the maintenance being provided by Bali Maharaj. So that when Bali Maharaj had the opportunity to attain Param Siddhi, the topmost perfection of surrendering everything to Vishnu, Shukracharya protested. Sarvasvam Vishnave Dattva Mudham Vatishyate Katam. You fool, if you give everything to Vishnu, then how will you maintain yourself? You're not accepting that Vishnu is maintaining everyone. Shukracharya was thinking that if Bali Maharaj isn't able to maintain himself, then how will he be able to maintain me? So he was a siddha, Shukracharya was a siddha. By his Brahma Teja, his Brahminical power, he was able to do that which was almost impossible, that he was able to empower Bali Maharaj and the demons to conquer the heavenly planet. But then when Bali Maharaj wanted to go further to a higher level of siddhi, he said, no, go this far and no further. This is the ultimate. So this is the problem with all these various intermediate stages. If one is at an intermediate stage but thinks that it is the topmost stage, then where will come the enthusiasm to go further, go higher? The motivation. So therefore, one has to understand clearly what is Siddhanta, the philosophical understanding of Siddhi. So we may speak of Karma Siddhanta, Jnana Siddhanta, Yoga Siddhanta. But actual Siddhanta, the actual meaning of the term Siddhi, is full. The actual meaning of Siddhanta is that philosophical understanding which states this clearly. That is called Bhakti Siddhanta. And in every sphere, in every detail of Bhakti, the Siddhanta must be perfect. If it's not perfect, then it's not really Siddhanta. So something which is professed as Siddhanta, but which is not actually so, is called Apasiddhanta. That means that which may appear to be perfect understanding, but which isn't. And so in every aspect, what is our relationship with Krishna, how to act in that relationship, what is the ultimate perfection of life, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojani. In all details, this must be understood properly. Because if it's not understood properly, then we won't attain Siddhi. We have to act according to Siddhanta. Our whole concept has to be according to Siddhanta. If it's not so, or if it's Siddhanta at a lower stage, which means the Siddhanta can either be at a lower stage or it can be completely off the mark. And either way, we don't achieve the topmost perfection. Guru is one who is Siddhantavit. He understands what are the Siddhantas. And he establishes this by his own behavior. He acts according to that. Achinoti yashastrani. What is that? Achinoti yashastrani. Achare. How does that mean? You don't know the Bhagavad-gita, so I don't know that one. Acharya Sastrani. Swayam acharate yasmat. Acharyas tena kirtitaha. 1 line on the stop. That one who knows what is Shastra, conclusion of Shastra, who teaches that and who demonstrates that in his own behavior, is called an Acharya. It is not an official post. At the present time, within ISKCON, as an institutional necessity, there are guidelines, or there are rules for recognizing who is an Acharya. But at the same time, we should understand that it's not by GBC vote that someone becomes an Acharya. GBC may endorse that this person is fit to sit on that seat and act in that post, but that fitness comes from fitting the Shastric criteria and actually understanding and being able to help others understand what is Siddhi and what is Siddhanta. There's a kind of mythological idea of the guru who floats around and just blesses everyone like a magic wand. So certainly the good wishes of devotee are essential for making progress in spiritual life. But at the same time, there's no substitute for it has to be done, that we have to make endeavor in spiritual life. We have to apply our intelligence to God-given intelligence to understand Siddhanta. Siddhanta balaya chittena karaha alash eha hoite krishna lage surira manash. Do not be lazy in understanding Siddhanta. For by doing so, one's mind becomes strongly attached to Krishna. And then, if we don't take the effort to understand Siddhanta, Siddhanta alashjan anartha tacharena. One who is lazy in the matter of understanding Siddhanta, they cannot give up anarthas. And then, if one is lazy in giving up anarthas, then he will bring in the opposite anta and call what is anartha will call artha, and what is artha will call anartha. They will say that the anartha is actually very good. They will call the anartha artha. The unwanted thing is something wanted. It's valuable. And artha they will call anartha. That which is actually desired they will criticize. No, this is wrong. And in this way, chaos and confusion enters Vaishnava society. That is inevitable because some people... Yes, it's evident also. It's inevitable that the highest and the best thing will be taken by low-class people and misused for their own base purposes. Inevitable. Inevitable. It started right at the beginning of the creation with the demons Madhu and Kaitab stealing the Vedas from Lord Brahma, even before the creation. So this attempt to hijack the Siddhanta, the highest truth, for one's own base purposes it's nothing new. It's said that prostitution is the oldest profession. You don't know that? They don't say that in your language? But from the example of Madhu and Kaitab, it seems that hijacking the Vedas is even older. So better find one representative of Shukadeva Goswami. Rather than hundreds and thousands of rishis and munis and lunis. Luni is an English slang which means crazy fellow. Lunatic. Lujaka. It's the same. It's the same. It comes from what is that? Latin? The moon. Too much influenced by the moon. Hare Krishna. Any question?
You were speaking about the relationship between the guru and disciple who are superficial, and then sometimes we have examples that cases when a hypocrite disciple comes to the bona fide spiritual master. How Maharaj, how do you, for example, help such kind of persons? Do you have any experience with them?
I have example of the sincere disciple and the hypocrite guru. Myself. Well, Prabhupada gives the example that if the spiritual master is a bona fide representative of the parampara, and the disciple is sincere and serious to learn, then the exchange of spiritual knowledge goes very nicely. And he gives the example of if a man is potent and a woman is fertile, then by their combination, conception will take place. So the woman may be very fertile, but if the man is not potent, then nothing happens. No child is produced, and vice versa. The man may be potent, but the woman barren. So that's the general example that's given, that both sides have to be in order. Of course, if anyone approaches a great devotee, even with wrong motives, they are benefited. But if one is actually hypocritical, scheming, then with this kind of attitude, it's very difficult to change that. Even then they may be by the association of a great devotee, but this duplicity that is strongly condemned. Now it's one thing if one is weak but he has material desires, but is nevertheless approaching with sincerity. But if one is deliberately making a show of being a devotee so as to take advantage of others for material benefit, then that is condemned. We're all hypocritical to some extent, it could be said, because we don't show all our material desires, and it's a good thing we don't. But it's understood that we're all we're trying in bhakti, but at the same time we all have various material attachments and misconceptions. So to pretend to be on a level that one is not on, that's also another kind of deception. Therefore it's sincere devotee should not pose himself as a siddha, but as a servant, and who is always desiring the mercy of the devotees. All right. Hare Krishna. All glories to His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai. Hare Krishna.